All right, I see us live. So it's 11:02 a.m. and I will go ahead and call to order the joint special meeting for Fire District 21 and 4. And we'll start with roll call. I'm Bruce Ansel.
Kimberly McMurray.
Mark Lamb.
Steve Cooley.
Chris Parks.
Jason Vanderveen.
All right, and so for the record, District 21 currently doesn't have a quorum here. This was more of an informational meeting to answer any questions that either district may have regarding the extension of the contract. And so Commissioner Fisher is excused, Commissioner Bosman is out of the country, and we may be joined by Commissioner Crawford. He had another appointment this morning. So with that said, we can move on to the contract for services. And basically, I can hum a few bars of what history I know of this. This original contract, which you have in your packet, was crafted over 10 years ago and has just sort of been renewed over the years. And then there came a time when District 4's board had a change of leadership, and there were some concerns brought forward as to the efficacy of the existing contract, and would we want to make changes to it. And then we got involved in discussions about RFAs and things like that. I believe there was a slight amendment, or I don't think it's in here, as far as the chief selection process. I think District 4 brought that forward to us last year, and we did amend that to basically state that it would be District 21's responsibility to select a new chief if that ever came before us. However, we would always consult with District 4 on issues of that magnitude. And then during our discussions back in early 2020, District 21 received a request to terminate the interlocal agreement from District 4 effective December 31 of 2021 or earlier. Well, we are getting really close to December 31 of 2021, and because the request was sent and accepted to discontinue our service to your district, we felt it might be in everyone's best interest to extend that for at least another year. And within that parameter, there was hope that we were going to both be successful in lifting our levy lids, and we both failed twice at that, which then leads to all kinds of new funding and taxing concerns to both districts. I think the new numbers are out, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but our district is now going from $1.15 to $1.02 in the next cycle.
Yes.
I have no idea what District 4 is doing. It was in the 80-cent range. I don't know where you guys are ending up.
District 4's combined levy rate, as I was able to find it, is 94 cents. That's combined EMS and fire.
Wow. All right. So we're all in a world of hurt financially right now. There have been some discussions. We've tried to be as transparent as possible as to what our budget numbers are and how we have gone about trying to come up with a fair model to charge for service. Back in 2019, we did a really deep dive, Chief.
I just wanted to point out that Commissioner Crawford from District 21 joined at 11:06.
Excellent. All right. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm in my car. Sorry.
That's all right. Appreciate you joining us. We now have a quorum if we need, but we're hoping we, well, if we do have some decision making to make, we can do that now. But anyway, thank you. So we're just sort of giving a synopsis, get you caught up of where we are and how we got here. I think both Steve and Mark, you have met with the chief and seen the budget for District 21 and how we determined what would be the most fair way to pay for the service to District 4. I think it's important to note that legally, District 21 can't support District 4 financially. We're separate taxing districts, and it would be a misuse of our public funds to sort of donate to your cause. Like I was saying, in 2019, we did a really deep dive with then your former chair, and it really came out to be about a $400,000 plus benefit on District 4 side for us to provide the service that we were doing in the manner that we were. So we looked at all the numbers, we looked at the best way to divide it up, and originally in this earlier contract, they came up with this number of 25%. And after that deep dive, it really came out, ironically, that 25% works. You guys have, 25% of the area, you have about 25% of the population, you have 1/4 of the stations and apparatus and personnel, and it just seems to be a reasonable way to do that. And so when we had our budget study session earlier in December, the chief presented us with what our expenses and costs are for this year, and the 25% budget cost for District 4 comes out to be $23,038.95, and that is spelled out in the amendment to the interlocal agreement, which everyone should have received. It's under item number 3. So if I'm correct in looking at District 4's budget, which I've only seen a brief snapshot of it, it appears that number is going to be difficult to meet without dipping into reserves, unless you guys know something that I haven't seen. And that concerns me for a couple of reasons. What happens next year if we can't resolve something, either merger RFA or tax increases? And so where do we go from here? But from our board's perspective, we have created this amendment that basically extends our agreement for 1 year, so it'd be effective until December 31 of 2022. It would be the payment in 4 payments for the total of $23,038.95. That's $2,303,895. And then there was an offer to provide other services as necessary if you so desire. So I don't know what to tell you, but we're going to be in this similar boat in the very near future if we can't figure out a way to raise more money from our taxpayers. So.
Yeah, very, very well introduced and put in context, Bruce. I just wanted to be clear, when I'm talking, I'm not speaking for our board. I'm just speaking, for myself. Steve Cooley is very equipped to, express his own opinions. But for me, I just wanted to lead off by saying I'm really glad that our boards are talking again like this. It's been a bit of a ride this year. When I was first appointed and now as a commissioner-elect, really all I've ever said was, I just want to continue to do what's helpful. And if that's helping form an RFA, or if it's, discussions of a merger, or as in this case, extending the ILA for a year, I just want to be a part of the process that moves everybody forward in a way that's, going to provide the best services to our customers. So that's kind of what I wanted to just throw out there. Except for the very, very recent history, it seems to me that this ILA lived for 10 years and it worked. I've read it before and I just read it again. And frankly, I don't have really anything in there that I want to pick apart. I'm just thankful that District 21 is, willing to continue to be willing to talk about partnering with us.
Yeah, and speaking for our board, I'm not sure what that means now, again, in the face of pretty strong voter opposition to our missions here. We're sort of canvassing any and all people who might have some suggestions as to how our message maybe was either misconstrued, or maybe that's what people want. But I think at some point, the truth is going to come out either in higher insurance rates or inability to provide service. I hope we never get to that point. But I think there's other districts around the state that are reeling from this 1% limit in our ability to collect taxes. I understand why it kind of got before the voters over 20 years ago. But with no ability to keep up with inflation or cost of living, all fire districts have had to figure out different ways of funding, whether it be fee for service or benefit service charges or EMS levies, or, bake sales just don't cut it anymore. So we're going to have to explore some of those and then try to figure out, in my opinion, the best way to get enough support to keep us on our feet. And that, in my opinion, is going to require probably several more work sessions between the two districts, and sort of turning over any more rocks that we haven't already tried to turn over. So
and in that context, you mentioned earlier the proposed cost of this ILA extension for next year and our budget. We're going backwards. We won't have enough money to pay for it without dipping into reserves, or even later, maybe we make some adjustments to our budget. I don't know. That's for future meetings, future discussions. But the money is there right now to pay for it, but not without dipping into savings.
Right. So
if I could, real quick, just wanted to, this morning I just ran some preliminary numbers These are not, these didn't come from the county or anything like that, but just so District 4's levy rate this year, like I said, is 94 cents. District 21's is $1.02. Even if we were to do a simple merger, that puts our combined levy rate at 98 cents. And my math tells me that that's the tax revenue from taking the combined valuations of both districts and by that levy rate, the 98-cent levy rate, that's $8,359,000 in tax revenue. Our payroll this year is $8 million. So that tells you when those lines are going to intersect. And that's if everybody pays
real
taxes.
soon.
Right, very soon. So yeah, I think it's going to take more. You said a few more. I'll say more meetings for us to figure this out. And but I just, there's got to be a way for us to we're gonna have to figure out how to fund this whole thing, not just District 4, but the entire thing.
Right.
Because I don't believe the people actually want a lesser level of service.
Yeah, I don't know what the dynamics are, but we're going to have to figure out how to move a 60% no vote to at least a 51% yes vote on something. So I have a tendency to talk too much. So I'd be curious if Commissioner Cooley, if you have any questions, comments, concerns. I know you're another newer person on the block, and so is Kimberly on our end, and it's a lot to absorb and understand and get a grip on. It's taken me years to partially understand the whole taxing situation in fire districts, but I think I have a rudimentary knowledge of it now, but I'd be interested to hear from you if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would just echo everything both you and Mark said. We're in this situation that we're going to have to work through, and I'm looking forward to those meetings that we're going to have to see if somehow out of this we can, as a merged entity, realize some savings. I mean, when I saw the budget that Chief Vanderveen went over with me, it certainly doesn't look like there's any room to cut, but hopefully from this merger process, we can maybe find some economies where if we do end up being one unit, whatever that looks like, we can find some economies there. But no, I appreciate the review of the situation up till now. And yes, you're right. I'm slowly coming up to speed, but look forward to the work we got to do together.
Perfect. Kimberly, do you have any thoughts for us?
Nothing to add. You've covered a lot of ground, and what everybody said. I'm slowly learning and coming up to speed as well. But I don't have anything new or additional to add at this time.
All right. John, you're still out there on your phone?
Yeah, I'm
I think you're in a time warp right now. You sound like R2-D2 out there.
I'm good.
I think District 21 shouldn't take any action. Excuse me.
Yeah. John, you got a bad connection, so we'll just go from there. So I don't know, is there really anything else, any questions you have for the chief or myself, or you guys have a meeting coming up on Wednesday for your budget adoption, I'm assuming. We have a meeting on Thursday for budget adoption, and then obviously we both need to address this contract for services, right? I mean, the deadline is is here. And if this document isn't signed this week, you guys are in more of a world of hurt than we are, because we're going to keep going, and you're going to need a contract. So
Yeah. So so Steve, I want to ask you, I'm sure you've had a chance to, read this through, and now I think would be the time to, if we wanted to pull anything out or highlight anything or ask for justification or history, now would probably be the time, since we have, the folks from 21 here. Otherwise, what I would sort of envision happening is this would be an agenda item at our meeting on, Wednesday, essentially to approve it. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse. And I just want to make sure that we wouldn't have any last minute surprises. I'm ready to, support it as is. But I don't want to, talk for you.
I think we're on the same page. I'm looking through it. I think it's completely reasonable just to, I am also prepared to vote on Wednesday if that's what we do to extend that. As Bruce said, we don't have a lot of choice really, but it doesn't matter. It's the agreement, as you said, has been working. So even though the auditors may not love it and want us to do something different, for another year, yeah, absolutely. I'm totally prepared to do that. So, and we just to clarify for Bruce, we adopted our budget last meeting, right? So we have done that already. This coming meeting Wednesday is simply about the merger, or continuing the agreement and anything else.
All right.
No, I just want to let you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris, just I think you're there. I don't see your picture, but I think you're there. Just before I forget, can we just make sure that this extension, this ILA is part of the packet, and it's on the agenda as, I don't know if it'd be new business or not, but just clearly we need to make sure we take action on it at our meeting.
I will make a change to the agenda this afternoon.
Thanks.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything? I mean, I'm nice to see you guys working on this, and I truly look forward to some sort of collaborative meetings as we move into the new year, because we both have a ton of work to do, and I wish I had a magic wand I could wave and say we're going to have adequate funding and we're all going to live happily ever after, but it's going to take a lot of work before we get to that point. So anyway, John, are you trying to say something, or you? Must have hit a bump in the road. So you guys have anything else? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and move to adjourn the meeting.
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks for hosting. Pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Bruce. Nice to meet you, Kimberly, and to kind of hear you, John.
All right. With that said, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 11:26 a.m.